gotta be true.
Advice Bureau is where you talk and we listen.
Other things just make you swear and curse.
But here on CABTalk, we talk and you listen.
The Citizens Advice Bureau.
For your free, helpful advice.
When you're chewing on life's gristle, that grumble, give a whistle. And this'll help things turn out for the best.
CABTalk.
And always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life. If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing. When you're feeling in the dumps.
Good morning and welcome once again to another session of CABTalk. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
Gosh, it's a bit wild and windy still out there.
Is it? Is my hair all over the place?
You look beautiful, so you're all right. And we once again, we're always delighted when we have our guest speakers. So Wesley, I'll let you do the intro.
Yes, well, good morning, Handley.
Good morning.
Now, Handley Thompson is representing a group of professional drivers. Is that correct?
We represent our members, actually. We
Yes.
represent. I mean, we're involved with we're the Automobile Association, and
Yes.
we represent our members, and so we advocate for our members for better and safer roads in the Wairarapa.
Yeah. So it's affiliated with the AA.
AA, absolutely,
Yes.
totally.
Yeah.
We are AA. Yep.
So people know that AA is Automobile Association.
Automobile, yep.
Not the other AAA?
Not the other AA, no.
But you don't AA, you don't drink and drive. That's the other
Absolutely, yeah.
positive
Yeah.
thing. Yes.
Roads. I mean, I think none of us can get away from the fact that, a road toll is actually disgraceful.
It's true.
I mean, it really is quite scary. And I mean, we always seem to have all these reasons, excuses and all that. But I suppose there's two factors really, is the driver and the road conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, and the cars.
Yeah, and the car. Yeah, so three factors really, yeah.
Well, are cars too powerful?
No, they're not. It's sometimes we're just not driving them as carefully as we should be driving them. Most of the time we are, but oftentimes we're not. We don't seem to take the responsibility that is needed when you're behind that wheel.
And I don't know, I mean, we're getting away from roads a bit, but I think driving, on the roads, I don't know how you can solve it.
You're right. There is no silver bullet, as they say. There's no single one answer. But there are a lot of little things you can do and make the roads safer. I mean, the NZTA have this program to. That's their task in life, to make roads safer, and they're doing this in Masterton here. They're looking for programs to get that particular road that we talked about before, from between Masterton and Carterton. They're looking to improve that. That is our busiest road. There are up to 20,000 vehicles a day that go on that road. Now, that's pretty big, and it wasn't that long ago. That was about 10,000. So the numbers on that road are increasing, and for some reason or other, accidents happen on it.
Well, there's lots of other roads coming onto that road, isn't there? I mean, and all that. And I think speed is probably the big factor. We all seem to want to get from one place to the other before it's, it's almost like we're trying to push ourselves forward into time, isn't it? With the speed that some of us go.
Yes, well, mind you, the speed limit along there is 100, and there's that area there where near East Tarratai Road, where if there's a car coming from any of those side roads, you're asked to move down to 70.
Yeah,
and that is working. There are some people think, well, it's a bit odd, but the fact of the matter is, since they've put that in, there have been no accidents. So
that's a little wee thing that comes up in flashes. I think that's actually very effective.
If there's traffic coming from the side roads,
yes.
the 70 sign comes up.
Yes.
Oh,
Assembly Road, yeah, it comes, and that's an accident corner. It's an interesting corner because it's an off level. You know, they don't go straight across.
No. Those are tricky.
Those are tricky corners.
Yes. Yeah.
And East Territory Road is a busy road. And so people have to get off there, and people argue, what if I do move down to 70? Does that make it any safer? The fact is, though, what it does, it alerts people's minds to the fact, there's a busy corner here, and I wonder if there's anyone on it.
Well, it improves the stopping distance as well if you drop your speed limit.
Yes, yes.
You know,
that's the reason.
If there is a crash, it's not as severe.
Well,
if you're going at 100, and a lot of people go over 100.
Yes, they shouldn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it obviously does show up on impact if some vehicles are going in
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think if you look, 100 years ago, who would have thought the people who were inventing cars 100 years ago would ever visualise that there would be this volume of traffic on the road?
Yeah.
You know, and cars, to be honest, are not made as probably sturdy as what they were years ago. They're more made that the metal's more flimsy, isn't it? And
the metal is more flimsy, but they're designed so that they crumple. And there's that sort of I don't know if you've heard of the sort of 3-box theory. Is they are light, but the passenger department, the driver and passenger department is tight, and if you have a front-on crash, then the designs of the body is that it doesn't come in and knock your legs off, or you've got cushions, air cushions in there, and as you say, the cars are much lighter, but the bonnets, for example, crumple. They're designed to crumple.
Yeah.
And that's a safety feature.
Absolutely safety feature, so that if you do have a crash, if you do something, that that the car is designed to not give you too bad a injury. That's the design of it. But and so you've got all these airbags in the car to help out if you get in that situation, and they do. But people still die.
Still, well, I think I suppose we can put all the safety factors in, but again, it's the probably the speed is a big factor to the accident.
Speed is a big factor.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Another big factor, of course, is distraction. I mean, we think that for whatever reason, your mind goes off the road, and you look around, there's some noise in the back or something happening to your left or to your right, and you just thoughts just go off instead of concentrating as you should. I liken it to I've just been up to Auckland and driving over the Auckland Harbour Bridge. When you're going over that, the lanes are so narrow, you have to concentrate. You're looking and you're really making sure you're in that lane, and it's not the same when you're driving down in the country. You can look around a bit, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. But I think maybe we used to call them farmer drivers. People in the country, they always had to look around to see what the next farmer was doing.
Whose paddock's been mowed.
Yes, what the ewes look like and how the lambs are coming
Absolutely,
along.
yeah. I know, they do.
Sorry, farmers.
It's all right, I drive with one quite often. Ex-farmers are worse.
Let's have some music and we'll come back and we'll really get on to roads.
Okay.
I'll never let you see the way my broken heart is hurting me. I've got my pride and I know how to hide all my sorrow and pain. I'll do my crying in the rain. If I wait for cloudy skies, you won't know the rain from the tears in my eyes. Someday when my crying's done, I'm gonna wear a smile and walk in the sun. I may be a fool, but till then, darling, you never see me complain. I'll do my crying in the rain. I'll do my crying in the rain. I'll do my crying in the rain.
Right, that was Crying in the Rain, and it's something that we certainly don't want to have, even though I suppose the rain is out there, but and rain on roads is sometimes not a good mixture either. Right, Hadley.
Well, what is a safety point when you're driving in the rain?
It's a good point. Obviously, you've got to make sure your tyres are at the correct level, pumped to the correct level, and not worn down, because if you have to stop, your tyres are really important in the rain.
Yeah.
Being visual, of course, keeping an eye on the road, making sure your brakes are in good order. I mean, you just need to concentrate a whole lot more when it's raining. Same as
wiper blades.
Wiper blades. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, wiper blades, they just don't seem to last so long as what they used to. I think, is it more because they get brittle in the sun and then or what is it? Or
Well, they should last a reasonable time. I suppose, see, in modern cars, you can put them on automatic, so when they come on, they actually come more than those swish swish, quite a lot more than if you were doing it yourself. You probably used to be able to put them on intermittent, and they'd just come every now and again. Whereas now, with the modern car,
they work on their own.
Yeah, they do, and as soon as a drop of rain on the window, they're away.
Yes, yeah.
Some cars, not all of them yet.
But I think, I mean, there's wipers, but I think, you know, in New Zealand, you get the long dry spells and you get a lot of spillage on the roads, like oils and all that, and then the rain comes.
Yes.
And people still keep to the same speed.
Yes.
And that's probably where one of the reasons that causes accidents.
It does, absolutely.
Yeah.
Often you get them after a long spell, after a long fine spell, as you've just said, and oil drop on the roads suddenly causes the roads to become slippery. Absolutely.
And of course, a big factor just now, of course, in the papers is all about the road surfaces, isn't it? Melting roads and
Melting, yeah.
Well, it's also the heavy traffic on the road causes a lot of bumps and washouts quite quickly.
Like we just heard yesterday, I just saw in the paper that there was a big flood, these intermittent floods. There was one in Featherston and it knocked out a road, quite a large portion of a road.
Yeah, we would come through Featherston in that heavy rain, and it was heavy, and it was amazing. Suddenly, it just suddenly came boom.
And keeping your windscreen clear too is quite a good thing to do.
But then again, that's all fair said, but I think, there is some bad habits, and I think one of the things that really annoys me is mobile phone users in a car. That really does, because I think they're just not taking responsibility at all of not just themselves, but the other people.
No, you see it so often, and I'm surprised. And it's in people in a range of cars, including all the modern cars, and they still do it. You see, if you have Bluetooth, theoretically, you can have your phone turn on, and you don't have to have your hand around it.
You don't.
You can just talk in the car. And
you don't actually have to text. You can actually verbally give a message, and it will send a text to the individual as well. I mean, modern phones are pretty up to it,
Cell phone use while driving, holding it yourself is a terrible example of what happens, and you see it so frequently.
And and I mean, you read about it so often, and you just think it was something that was avoidable, It's right. But we're really here to talk about roads, not people's behaviours and things like that.
Behaviour on the roads is one of the major causes of accidents.
It is.
You can blame the roads, you can blame the potholes, you can blame blind corners, but
drive to the conditions.
And drive to the conditions. And it's pretty impossible when you see somebody passing you on a blind corner.
Yes.
You back off pretty quickly.
I actually often wonder, there seems to be this mentality that people have to be first. You're on the road, you're driving to the speed limit, there's, and everything is fine, and as a car comes up and they have to pass you.
Yes.
It's almost like, I've got to be first. I've got to,
Yes.
And you think, and then blow a bit, they go and turn off.
Yes.
And you think,
what have
why?
they gained?
Why? And it's almost like, there's a car in front of me, I've got to pass it.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes I wish I had a boxing glove in the boot of my car, and so that I'd go back.
Yeah. And you see it at passing lanes, and even people in the left lane tend to speed up, but they say that's just because the road is nice and straight, and that when the road is straight and clear, then your foot tends to go down a little harder.
Yeah, but then again, people on the passing lane, they go into the passing lane and then they stay in that lane.
Yes, well, you must go to the left.
Yeah.
If you're in a passing lane, if there is a passing lane, always do your passing manoeuvre and go return back.
And same with dual carriageways and motorways. They all seem to be, it's almost like I'm in the faster lane. Yeah.
Yes.
And I often wonder if it's, so back to the driver, aren't we? Whether there's enough driving instructions for the new motorists and some of the older motorists nowadays, because roads have changed in the last 20 years in New Zealand.
They have. Yeah. They've changed a lot.
Yeah. I mean, when I first came to New Zealand about 30 years ago, if you saw 2-3 cars on the road, I remember my brother-in-law saying, "Oh, it's busy," and I'm going, "What? It's only 2-3 cars, Yes. And now, the roads are busy.
The roads.
Yes, and the other thing that is quite confusing when you don't drive them all the time are these huge new roundabouts that you see in flyovers and going down on a road down through Wellington behind the hut, those big ones.
Yes.
Is there a rule for those?
Well, indicating at roundabouts is hugely important, and when you're going into a roundabout, if you're going straight through the roundabout, you don't indicate going out of it until you're halfway through, until you're past the entrance, the first one, and then you must indicate on your way out. And indicating at roundabouts causes such a lot of problems. Some people don't even bother, and that really annoys you, and can cause accidents. You think, well, that person is and sometimes they indicate, and they've indicated too early. They indicate to go left. They indicate as though they're going left out the first exit. And in fact, they're going through.
I must admit, I've done that.
And then they're driving down the road, and they're still indicating.
I think sometimes we've all the indicators stayed on.
Yes.
But the other one is, I think when people come to a roundabout, they dive to the roundabout and they've got to get through. Where I was always taught that you take turns. See, that's a difference. You take turns. So you're basically, the flow of the roundabout always continue because you're taking turns, and you don't have a big line of traffic waiting because other people are diving through. And I suppose it's just different how I've been instructed in how to drive.
Where was that?
Scotland, Britain, you take turns in a roundabout that you don't, you actually give the opportunity for the other cars to come on, and you get the flow of the roundabout working.
Yeah.
But what about the ones that have lights on them in roundabouts? You struck those?
Lights?
Well, traffic lights in the big roundabouts. And in London.
Yeah, well, that's probably
Or
more.
over up in Scotland.
Yeah, in cities
Yes.
and all that. But then again, you're instructed by the lights, then, aren't you? You're not
Yes.
instructed by that
the
flow.
roundabout.
You
Yes,
know,
the
it's like
flow.
you talk about, you zip into each other, but it's and it was quite interesting how there was a better flow. It just the traffic just
Yes.
seemed to flow around more. Yeah, but then again, double lane roundabouts probably was better
Yes.
as well. And we used to have mini roundabouts, which is what you'd probably call the one up at Reynolds Street. That would have been called a mini roundabout because it was tiny.
But the rules here are basically you look to your right, and
Yeah.
and you you give way to the right,
Yeah.
and so it's the right hand rule applying,
Yeah.
and you can sneak in before someone if they're being a bit hesitant, if you
Yes.
wish. But again, you've got to be really careful doing that. You do find people doing it a lot, sneaking in while someone is sort of waiting
Waiting.
carefully.
Or someone puts their foot down when they reach the roundabout, coming towards the roundabout. All of a sudden, you can see them speeding up, and
Flying
you think,
through.
"Oh, here we go." Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a giveaway area, and when you come to a giveaway, you should slow down and be prepared to stop. That's the thing. You don't go to a roundabout or go to a corner and be prepared and plan to whip through. Be prepared to stop first, and if it's clear, off you go.
So, talking about roundabouts, one of the areas on your map plan that you showed us earlier on was at the end of High Street.
Yes, Namatari, if
Yeah.
we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
That too.
That area is being built up,
Yes, it is. Very
and
much
there's
so.
a lot more traffic there.
Yes.
I mean, we've got the slip road to go back, onto Namatama Road,
Namatama.
but getting onto the highway.
Yes, it's very, very difficult. If you're coming from Namatama
Yes.
onto State Highway 2, extraordinarily difficult. That is the reason why a roundabout or some sort of treatment there is really important. And it's going to get more and more. I think we've heard that the Solway School is going to increase its numbers because there are a lot of new homes in and around that area in the Solston Solway area, and a lot of new homes being built, families coming into the area. The nearest school will be Solway School,
Yeah.
and so there'll be a lot more activity coming in and around that area. It's a tricky corner.
It's a tricky corner, but it's actually an area that's got lots of space that you could actually create something.
Yes. But that's right. And what is that something? In the times past, we've talked about, instead of have a roundabout, an oblong about, which sounds an odd thing.
Yeah.
But there was the need to also account for people coming out of Buchanan Place, which is just along a bit on the left. So, and trucks coming out of there, mainly trucks coming out of there, have problems because to get across the road, they need to have clear sight, and if cars are coming through at 70 k's an hour, then they simply don't have enough clear road to get through at the time. Those cars coming through at 70, if they suddenly see a truck coming out of Buchanan, because it's just a little corner there and they can't quite see it, then they have to slow down.
Yeah, I suppose that's quite tricky. I mean, we can't even alter the Namatama Road entrance because we've got the railway line, so we can't actually go behind where the railway line is and create a new road and come out the other side.
There's thought. These thoughts have been said, but I think that we'll just improve it as much as we can. The Transport Agency have undertaken that study that we talked about earlier on, and what they will do, they're amassing all the thoughts given to them and all their plans and ideas for it, and they'll put it through into one, I would say, into one sort of solution that will cover the road from Carterton all the way through to Masterton, and so we won't get this one coming first and that one and that one. There'll be one one plan for the entire road, it'll include. I'm picking, because I don't really know, but I'm picking it'll include a roundabout at Norfolk Road, some slower traffic in between Norfolk and Naumatawa. I'm hoping another roundabout at Naumatawa. I'm thinking that the Norfolk one will possibly take priority, but the Naumatawa one is also very, very important.
Do you think traffic lights will come into the area?
It has been muted. It has been muted.
Because, I mean, at least that does slow the traffic and people get a chance to move about. Yeah,
I know. Some people, when it's been suggested, I've seen people throw their hands up in horror.
Yes.
Traffic lights, we don't have any in Masterton.
We did used to.
I know we did. But
one set of traffic lights would do good, or you would need more than one?
Well, where it could possibly help, and that is with all these say school children coming from the Salston area, coming across that main road, they're going to need to get across that. Hopefully they'll be walking to school, and they'll need to get across that busy road. So maybe some sort of stopping of the traffic might come in. We shall see what they come up with.
Under and over. Under an overpass.
Well.
Then you got then you got the river, so you know
build
going
another
under.
bridge, go under it, but not over the water. Under the
you're saying over and out. Yes. Under and over.
I go for an under and over.
Would you?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
Interesting.
You should have come along to the public meeting that they had and put your submission in.
Because it's actually is quite an interesting area, that one there, because you've got all that different level. There's a different, huge level difference, isn't there?
There is, and there are.
I was thinking that whatever they do, added to the expense is the land they have to purchase. Is that right? To make it wider or bigger?
If they were going to have one, they may have to purchase land.
Yes.
And, there's land. Well, the thought initially was they might have taken some where the new ITM is or Tumu ITM
the new
building is now
building,
right on the corner.
It's a car.
So that one's out.
Yes. Well, they went forward thinking enough.
But other trucking, like Macaulay's used to be just down Buchanan's place, and now they've moved. If you see, they've got a huge truck depot further north.
Yes,
so I think there is a little less coming out of Buchanan. But as you say, there are levels there, and trucks often have to try a little harder than cars to get going.
It is actually quite an interesting question to be resolved.
Especially
that
with
one.
The length of the trailers that they.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the great thing was that with this NZTA. Program they had to try and find solutions for it. They had the public asked to provide their ideas. They had the key stakeholders. That was the mayors and the police who were all involved, and then the businesses in the area. And overall, they had 800 submissions, and 800. They were astounded. The Transport Agency were astounded with the number of submissions that they received. It just shows that Masterton people, Wairarapa people, really care about that area and really care about the safety of their road.
It's quite interesting because, I mean, as I said, you often question why don't we have a dual carriageway from Masterton right through to Carterton. There.
Yeah.
But that would take an awful lot of land and a lot of movement and a lot of
still
changes.
Have the side roads coming off.
Yes, but then again, with the side roads coming off, you had a dual carriageway, you'd have to have your flyovers and things like that coming in to introduce into a slip roads more.
Yes,
it would be massive.
It would be massive. You've got that height too, haven't you, with the trucks? Is there a height that has to be on any overbridge or? You take these big
I don't know. what the heights have to
double-decker
be.
trucks with.
But then again,
loads of
they
stock.
would
Yeah.
take that into account anyway,
Yeah, they
because I
must
mean,
do.
you know,
Yes.
you've got your trucks. Yeah, the height of the trucks is big
Well,
pathway.
even on the main
mean-
road between Ikitahuna
And
and
then we
Pahiatua,
could say,
they've got-
why don't we use the railway line more often? You know, for the heavy goods, heavy trucks.
Yeah,
Yes.
for the truck
Yeah.
they're
goods
certainly
and-
working on that.
and the logs, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, another train would be brilliant.
I mean, but that's another issue, the
Yes.
railway service.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
won't go into that one.
But what the other thing I think we'll find when the Transport Agency come up with their plan for the future of that road, they'll probably come up with some sort of treatment for the centre of the road and treatments for the width for the sides of the road too.
Yeah.
The centre and a centre, what they call flexible barrier down the middle of the road will probably happen, and I mean they are really important. The flexible barriers can reduce an accident by like 100%. You do, for example, on the Centennial Highway across between Pukerua Bay and Plimmerton over there, where they didn't used to have a centre rail. They put down that centre rail, and there has been no head-on accidents since then. You know, it's been tremendously successful, and I think. I'm picking that what they will do is probably have some form of centre flexible barrier at the centre of the road, probably having a fairly wide centre space, and then some guardrails on the side. See, if you stop people having head-on crashes and stop people rolling off the side of the road, which is what has happened. There've been head-on crashes, there've been run-offs to the side.
Yeah.
Stop those two areas, and you've done it. And the other one that will help that is the rumble strips, you know, and the rumble strips on the side of the road.
one that wakes you up.
Wakes you up, absolutely, wakes you up, you know.
I'm talking as a passenger.
So a centre barrier, side guardrails, and rumble strips. I think will be what they'll come up with, and maybe they'll widen things a bit too, but they have to purchase land for that.
Why not a bypass
Wow, of Masterton,
from Masterton to the other side of Carterton?
from us to the other side of Carlton. Yes, well,
If you think about it, then all these side roads, all the roads that are existing now, there'll be the less traffic on the roads. The locals will still be able to come and go, but they'll have the option of going onto the bypass to get from A to B.
Yeah, to the other side. Well, I'll tell you, this is what the sort of wise people who think about these things say about a bypass is. A bypass will happen when the people in that town that you're bypassing call for it. Right now, I believe the people, say in Carterton, are very happy to have the state highway going up the centre because it's potential business.
Then again, Tapo's had a bypass. It hasn't stopped their business.
Yeah. Well, no, but they probably asked for it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm just wondering if it's a false sense of thinking that if it's a bypass put in place, you won't get the volume of visitors and people stopping in your town. But a lot of people are not stopping because they're getting frustrated of a drive-through. They just want to continue to get out of the area rather than thinking, oh, let's go and stop there. It's a nice, quiet, peaceful place. We can go and have a walk around. I think there's that two-way of thinking, isn't there?
Yes, and Masterton was pleased to have Nawatawa Road as a bypass. Although again, it's not designated the state highway. The state highway still is up Chapel Street and Opaki Road, and as I say, I think that when the Carterton fathers call for a bypass, that'll be maybe when they. But then where would you put it? You know, there's a big thought on that. It has honestly the subject has been thrown in the air, tossed around lots of times.
Because to be quite honest, New Zealand doesn't have a lot of roads. You've actually got very few roads in New Zealand to get from one place to the other. You usually got like one route. You don't have 2-3 different routes of getting there. Yeah. I think especially down in the South Island, I mean, you know, the number of roads is really quite limited in a way, where here it's like you are actually quite limited, and you don't have the old roads, you don't have the old bypass, or you could go such and such and get to a place. It's really quite... There's not many roads in New Zealand.
Yeah, no, well.
I think there's more roads in Jersey, in the island of Jersey, than what there is in New Zealand. Yeah.
Well, good on you.
Interesting, Maura. Interesting. Yes.
I haven't heard that said before.
Yeah.
But,
You've actually got very few roads to get from A to B.
Well, I suppose it's the population, the demand is not there.
Yeah, and that is...
And the terrain, you know,
Yeah.
like we're up and down and...
Yeah.
Roundabout.
But Scotland's got about the same number of population as the whole of New Zealand.
Yes.
And I suppose on the west coast of Scotland we don't have that many roads, but there's a lot more roads in the area. But then again, it's an older country that's had time to develop. And I think that's it. New Zealand is still, I think, in a development stage.
Yes.
And I think we sometimes forget that as well.
Yeah, by comparison to where you're from, yes, absolutely.
Well, no, I think, you know, to me, it's actually, New Zealand is exciting because you're actually in a stage of development and making your history. You know, I think if people sort of view New Zealand as actually a young country, we're actually creating New Zealand rather than, you know, seeing it as a negative or a drawback. I think you could actually be onto something special. Yeah, that's made them all quiet. I'm going to some music on.
Return to sender. Return to sender. I gave a letter to the postman. He put it in his sack. Bright and early next morning, he brought my letter back. She wrote upon it, return to sender, address unknown, no such number, no such zone. We had a quarrel, a lover's spat. I'm sorry, but my letter keeps coming back. So when I dropped it in the mailbox, as in a special deed, bright and early next morning, it came right back to me. She wrote upon it, return to sender, address unknown, no such person, no such zone. This time I'm gonna take it myself and put it right in her hand. And if it comes back the very next day, then I'll understand. The writing on it, return to sender, address unknown, no such number, no such zone. Return to sender, return to sender, return to sender, return to sender.
Right, that caught me on alert. Yes, you are listening to CABTalk on Access Arrow FM, 92.7, your local community radio station. And today we're actually talking about roads, but if you've got any other information you would like to talk about, please give us a call at the CAB on 06377 0078, or pop in to see us on 43 Perry Street in Marston. I did say if you've got any information to give us, but if you've got any questions you'd like to ask, please.
We are
get in
talking
touch with us.
roading today, and we're getting sidetracked slightly, but if you want any information on roading, rules, regulations, ages for driving, those sort of things we can certainly help you with. But I want to ask Handley, how long does a learner driver stay a learner driver?
You shouldn't ask me that. Well, I mean, I don't actually do that part of my, but they certainly at the AA office they do that.
Yes.
What we are AA counsellors, and we do advocating for new roads or better roads. The day-to-day functioning of how long a licence and how much things are, and how can you get a new one, and where do you have to go?
Yes.
That's all handled by the office, and we AA counsellors have no input into that at all, other than what we might know personally.
Yeah.
But I think that you can be on a license for when you pay your learner license, which is, and the learner, my understanding is that covers the rules of the road. You'll learn those to get a learner license, and then you practice your driving
for a certain length of time. Yeah. Well, there was just there was the comment that people should not drive around with the L plate on when you're not the learner.
Mm-hmm.
No,
No.
that's right.
Yes.
They shouldn't. They should take it out of the car. That's
Yes.
They should put it in, have it, and move it out when they're not the driver.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep. Now, do you ever think the driving learning age will come up? Rise until you've got to be maybe 17 before you learn to drive, or
I don't think it will change. No,
won't change?
This subject has been raised and tossed around quite a lot, and I think it'll be where it is. I haven't heard of any move afoot to try and change it, and I think that my understanding is that where it's at now, people are happy with.
do you think that they will come about that people have to have so many driving lessons from a sort of licensed driving instructor,
Well, yeah.
rather than from mum and dad or big
Well,
brother, sister?
remember, of course, what the AA offers to AA members to free driving lessons. A huge thing.
I think it
actually,
is.
learning to drive.
And speaking as a senior citizen, I think that we should be doing more to help older drivers with a refresher course that's compulsory at a certain age.
Yes.
I had to do a driving sort of instruction course. It was only 1 hour, less than an hour, when I was driving for the Cancer Society.
Yes.
And I found that very helpful.
Yes.
And it was better than somebody, e.g., your better half, telling you what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing on the road, to have some independent person saying, now, Wesley, it would pay for you to look over your shoulder more often,
Yes.
and keep your neck free,
Yeah.
so that you do actually or are aware of that blind spot.
The AA does have older driver courses available. Now, they're not compulsory, but they are available and they are free. And they're very helpful.
So how old do you have to be old to have to go on one of the course? I mean, some people think they're 80 and they're still not old. So.
Let's go with 65.
65.
Yeah. And these are available, and sometimes people don't want to admit that they want to go and have a refresher.
Yeah.
But there are so many people who don't realise have forgotten such little rules, and they've gotten into some bad habits.
Yes.
I think the bad habits is probably the big factor.
Yes.
I've always driven like this, so I don't see why I have to change, or I'm going to continue driving like this. Yeah. And I think we're all a bit guilty with that in some ways.
There was another program that they introduced, which unfortunately has stopped, and that was called Car Fit. And what that meant was that people, older people, but anyone really could take it, but you could go along and your car could be explained to you, just the fact where you meant to sit, how you meant to, where you meant to sit in relation to all the various aspects of the car, and your seating position, and all those sort of things, that you fit the car. That's why they call it Car Fit. The body fits the car, and they're a really good idea. And people used to come along and say, "Gosh, I've learnt a lot from that."
Yeah.
I mean, probably an advantage, I would say disadvantage, that most cars are automatic now.
Yeah, most are. Most are.
Yeah, and I think, for us older drivers, it is advantage because it's something less to think about.
Yes.
But something like that, it's still quite nice to get into a manual, and I think you can get better control of the car.
Get better revs.
Yeah, and I think you actually got better control of a car, and I think you actually have to think more when you're driving when you're manual because of your different speed limits, and you come into a stop sign, so you've actually got to slow down with the manual rather than, and we're just
the automatic just changes the gears for you.
We're looking around too much nowadays because we don't have so much to think about actually in driving.
Things have changed in that way, hasn't they? There used to be manual cars only way back, and then and to get a license you had to have it on a manual car, even if you did have an automatic. But of course that's changed completely.
I think it is. If you have if you drive an automatic, pass on automatic, you can't drive a manual.
No, I think that
wouldn't.
I don't think it's.
It's amazing the difference in the countries, isn't it? Because I think in Britain
used to be that. That was a rule that used to be there.
Automatic, you wasn't eligible to drive a manual. Yep. Yeah, interesting. Okay, Rumataka Hill.
Yes.
Rumataka Hill.
Pass.
Yes. And
we're not passing on the question.
No.
And don't pass.
And what's more, it's Remutaka, R-E-M-U now, T-A-K-K, Remutaka. And apparently that was always the name, but it slipped up, to Remutaka. But so Remutaka is what it is, and the concept of a pass was mooted by Frank Cody some time ago, and it's to sort of copy the thought of the Lindis Pass and the Arthur's Pass and the Lewis Pass, that it's a pass between two places, and so it has a nice sound to it, and from a tourist point of view, it sounds better than the Rumataka Hill Road. Because from a tourist point of view, the hill is actually, it's a wonderful view up the top there, and a lot of people stop and have a look, particularly tourists stop and have a look, and so to call it something around the Rumataka Pass just is helpful.
It does. It probably makes, as you said, it's bringing an extra feature to it rather than just Rumataka Hill. And there's a couple of other things on the Hill Road. We still call it the Hill Road.
Yes, we do. We can't help ourselves, can we?
No, and that is, there are things on there called stopping bays.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of comment about the term stopping bays, and some people don't like them. And from our point of view, the AA point of view, we would like to see that change, because it's sort of confusing. Do you go on there and stop, or is it a pullover bay, or what is it? So there's been some thought that we should have changed the name. And what people have come up with now is the term courtesy lane. There was a courtesy bay, and now a courtesy lane is the sort of the latest thought, and that sounds quite good. If you're coming up and there's cars behind you, then there's a courtesy lane you can pull over and let them come past you, and instead of stopping bay. And so Courtesy Lane is what could be term used in the future. So that's something to look out for.
And you're in favour of that?
We are in favour of that.
Yes. what do they call them in Australia?
I'm not sure.
Pull-outs.
Do they? Pull-outs.
Pull-outs? I mean, pull-out to me is coming out of it rather than pull in.
Yes.
Oh, well,
I mean, I must admit, Courtesy Lane sounds quite flowery to me.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Yes, but
Yes.
it's a good idea. It's very good.
Yeah.
A very good thought. Yeah.
But they need to make them
and then
bigger.
what if you stop on?
have you got a thought?
Is there
No,
no,
no.
stopping?
I haven't
Is
heard.
there no stopping?
No, you can stop.
You can stop.
You can pull over and just cruise slowly, but you
Yes.
don't have to stop. I
Yeah.
mean,
No.
you know, stopping lane.
I mean, I must admit, the big trucks, they tend to use them when they can, but I think they need to be improved.
Or they don't. The trucks is a problem because when they're going uphill,
Oh, when
they
they're
do not
uphill.
like to have to stop. It's a
No.
huge effort for them to start up
Yeah.
again.
Yes.
Well, I think going uphill, but coming downhill, they do tend to use them.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and,
yes.
and often when you get up to the top of the pass, they will draw inside and let the traffic pass them. So
Yes, they are.
build up. They
Yes.
are. I would say some of the
Considerate.
truck drivers are probably our courtesy
Yes.
and that.
Yes.
But going uphill, you can't really ask them to go into the bays because they probably wouldn't be able to start some of them again.
No, I know. It's a good point.
Yeah.
One other thing they're on about too is, and there's been an ongoing program of what they call corner easing. You know, there are a lot of tight corners in the past. You know, there used to be mole dunes. Remember that? And that was a really tight corner. You know why it was called mole dunes? Because it was tight. That's what they used to say. And anyway. You recall the one they've just working on right now, and they've pretty much done their work now. They've repainted the lanes on the road. I came over it yesterday, and apparently the next corner they're doing is the next one up. That's the plan, and they'll sort of knock off these hard corners because sometimes when two trucks try and go round the corner, they can't do it. You remember it happened about 2 weeks ago
Yes,
that they got stuck, one
Yes.
coming one way and one the other, and
But even long buses have to pull over quite a bit into the middle.
Yep, they do.
Yes.
And so easing those corners is an ongoing program, and we're looking forward to perhaps the next one as it goes up. The surface on the road, I must say, is really good. You know, they have that lovely asphalt surface, and so driving up and down the hill is easy, really.
I think a lot of people don't like driving up there because I think for some of it's going uphill and it's going around corners, and they think, I never drive up over there. And I think it's actually quite an exciting road to drive because you do have to use you do have to concentrate, and you do actually have to drive.
Yes.
It actually is probably good for you to go up and over the hill. Pass.
It'll take a while. We'll be saying pass in 2 or 3 years' time, and then it'll just flow off the tongue.
And I think also, I think we all know that probably the motorcyclists, it's an ideal road for them, really, isn't it? Because, they can do the swerving in and out, such like, but it is a high-risk road.
For a motorcyclist, We have a guardrail now over the entire road. Didn't used to be.
I know. It always used to fascinate me. I can remember coming over there, I said about 30 years ago, and there was these fence posts and a bit of wire, and I thought, really?
Yes, and barbed wire too. If you go through that, it wouldn't make a mess.
I know. Yeah. I can recall in my AA history that the AA paid for the fence over the hill, and I think it was something like £10. But it's a small amount of money, but we paid for the first fence. Yeah.
We're nearly coming to an end, but that's just something I actually I thought as well is lights. Lights, as in street lights.
Oh yes.
Namatoma Road, you come into street lights, then you go black. then you come into more street lights. It's not consistent. I actually find that the street lights is actually quite bad.
Do you?
Yes. I'm going to bet.
Well, look, there's been a huge program in Marston, and I think they've just completed it, and that is changing all the street lights to LED lights.
Yeah, I think
and the LED lighting is seen to be a much kinder and more concentrated light, and it lightens the road and probably might help in what.
Well, I think it's actually you come into a lighted area, then you go into an area that's got no traffic lights, like Akaroa Road, across from the railway line. You actually come into no traffic. There's no traffic lights there. There's no street lights at all.
No, because it's just on the edge before the
but
corner.
you've got that intersection there.
You have, and there are
the
no
main
lights
one.
there.
And there's no street lights.
See, now that's what the AA is here for. If we have, I haven't heard that thought actually.
And it's also you're coming into street lights, especially on Amatama Road,
yes.
and then you've got none, and you think, oh God, and you've got intersections and all that, or there might be a light there when there's an intersection, and I thought, like between Carterton and Masterton, because there's a country road, if you had lights at the intersection, especially at night, it's making the driver aware that there's an intersection coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just...
Well, I don't know if there's a traffic light or it's not traffic light.
Street light.
At the Akura Road, Manamatama, but that is an interesting. The way they've actually given the give way signs there, it's a special
See,
design.
that's another little area, that corner could probably have a roundabout.
Well, yep.
Right, now my little gripe
yes, here we go.
is street signs hidden by trees.
Absolutely. Well said. Yes, that should not be, and the councils should clear back any signs. Have you got some in particular?
I was driving yesterday, and there were several roads that I couldn't see the street sign until it was right up on top of it.
Well, West, I think you might have to talk when we finish the programme about this, because I'm afraid we've actually come to our time. Yes, the time goes very quickly. So thank you, Hadley, for coming on. I'm sure we're going to have you on again, and let's see if we can actually have any more improvements of what we've been talking about. But it is coming up to this silly season, as it's called this time of the year. Please all take care out there.
Yes, agreed. Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving your time, Handley.
Okay, thank you.
The Citizens Advice Bureau is where you talk and we listen.
But here on CABTalk, we talk and you listen. CABTalk, every Tuesday at 10 o'clock on Arrow FM.
And always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life. If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh.